everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Shaquille, the world's worst YouTuber, coming back with a much long-awaited coffee review. And I say that because I think I'm the only person that's been waiting for the next coffee review, seeing as how it has been over 6 months since the last one. Oh my goodness, what have I been doing with my time? So, per usual, whenever I do one of these coffee reviews, we have criteria. Let's see if I can remember what that criteria is. First, we're going to look at the packaging. When it comes to the packaging of any of these coffee flavors and blends that I review, I like to ask myself the question, would this get my attention just walking down a Walmart if it's on store shelves? And the answer is, yes, this definitely got my attention. It stood out like a sore thumb. It's nice, it's got a sleek black and white design, and everything about it still sticks to the brand of being Double Mountain Coffee. Already, I'm awarding 1 point for the packaging. It's beautiful. Mwah! Loving it. Second criteria. We've got the sniff test of the grounds of the coffee. As somebody who very much enjoys coffee, probably a little bit too much, not enough to call myself one of those coffee bros, but at the same time, I know what I like, and I know what I like to sniff. So of course, when we open the package, we gotta stick our nose directly into it and get all of the aroma up into the sinuses. We'll get to that in a moment. The next criteria? We have the second sniff test, this time brewed. At the end of the day, I have no real credentials to be giving critiques of coffee. I'm just a random average consumer, just like most people I assume would be, who are going to be doing, reading, watching, consuming coffee reviews. There's nothing special about me. I'm just another person who likes coffee. And I know something that I love about coffee is waking up and the fresh scent of a brand new brewed batch of coffee comes into my aroma, into my sinuses, kisses me gently and tenderly on the forehead as I awake to the next day, ready to go. And at the very least, if I'm not ready to go, hopefully the scent of the coffee is going to make me feel better about not wanting to get up and go. So, of course, the sniff test brewed, the aroma once it is ready to be drank and consumed. This leads us to the fourth criteria. Finally, we have the taste test. We can get through all of this entire criteria, awarding points left and right, but if the coffee does not taste good, then what the fuck are you doing drinking the coffee? It's all about the taste. It can smell great both in the bag and in the pot. It can look great, have great packaging, be appealing to the eye. This is what it's all about. This is what the review is for, to let you know, other consumers watching this, if it is worth your $20 to spend on this particular type of coffee. And I think that the taste test is probably the most important part. But it still only gets 1 point, because I try really hard to make sure that it is a limit of 7 points, because for some reason I have decided that 7 is the most arbitrary rating system that one could think of. Also, it's an homage to one of my favorite, now no longer running YouTube channels, The Boo Review, who had the same reasoning. And in this way, I keep the memory and the spirit of that channel alive. But of course, we have to move on to the next criteria. Criteria number 5 and 6. This thumb and this thumb. Overall, this is the point in which I am going to say whether or not I just personally like it. All of this is semantics. All of this is brass tacks. I'm trying to be professional as possible. These are my 2 points that I can either award or choose not to award. That way it's nothing other than my personal opinion. Nothing professional, just sweet and to the point. What do I think about it overall? 1 thumb? 2 thumbs? No thumbs at all. Which brings us to the 7th and probably most important of all of them. Is it strong enough? Normally, I would try to find something else to fill in this number 7 spot. However, when it comes to the coffees like this, that claim to be incredibly strong and incredibly powerful, with potentially subtle jabs to other coffee blends, let's take a look at what it says over here on the side, shall we? First of all, so powerful it's a sin. Being a fan of the devil. I like that. If it's not a little bit tasting like sin, then what really is the point? Back to the packaging. On the bottom here, it says the most powerful coffee in the world without sacrificing on flavor. Devil Mountain Coffee Company, is that a jab at Death Wish coffee? I have reviewed Death Wish twice now. The first one, not good. Second one, much better. I prefer the second one. I recommend the second one. Let's act like the first one didn't even exist because it was one of the first ones I did, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I'm very familiar with Death Wish coffee, and they claim, at least for the longest time, to have been the strongest coffee in the world. And I said that they're pretty fucking strong. And I really enjoy the flavor overall of Death Wish. Now, I don't want to directly compare it to Death Wish because it's been a while since I've had some. However, I see you. Is that what you're doing? Are you being the devil of the coffee company and challenging the way that you should be? Devil Mountain? This is fun. I like this. This is fun. Either way, when you are making bold claims like that, regardless if you are side-eyeing competitors, we're going to put it to the test. How strong is it? Is it really that frickin' strong? Let's find out. Now, we have the criteria back here, probably just out of sight to be legible, but see, it is still there. It is not out of sight, nor is it out of mind, whether or not you know what it says to begin with. I just told you. Next, of course, I already have my coffee pot good and ready to go with a filter ready to be filled with ground coffee. Let's set her up, shall we? Referring back to the criteria, number 2, sniffing the grounds. That's what we're going to do right now. Whew! That is robust, to say the least. Oh my goodness, that is a whole lot of flavor. You know what? Anybody who has walked into a cigar humidor, it kind of has that same feeling where, if you haven't, you don't know at all what I'm talking about, but you walk into a cigar humidor, for some reason moist cigars, kept at the proper humidity, have an aroma of some kind of chocolate and earth. However, instead of tobacco being the base of it, it's coffee. Yeah, no, honestly, it's not something that I would personally initially, like, sometimes I just grab my coffee out of the cabinet, shove my nose in and go, That's not going to make me do this. It's still good. I still like it, but it doesn't really have that same ecstatic experience. But it's still good, so it still gets a passing grade. Sniff test for the grounds. 1 point has been awarded. Now has come the time to load her up. I'm just going to do this the way that I always do it. I'm not going to follow the instructions. I'm just going to make it the same way that I make all of my coffee. So, 1. Oh my god, I need to stand for this, otherwise it's going to get everywhere other than... I'm making this incredibly difficult for myself. 2.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Ooh. Okay, the scent is growing on me.
7.
This is very finely ground. Normally at 7 it's almost filled up, but I'm going to give it an honorary 8th scoop. 1 more than I normally do.
Please don't spill, please don't spill, please don't spill.
Something about the sound of trickling water makes me happy. Don't mind the giggles, I can't explain it. Now, something that I like to do, since this particular coffee maker has the option, I like to turn it on, and I also utilize the strong brew. I don't know what it is about strong brew, but for whatever reason, I believe it is a slower drip. That way it percolates within the basket and takes longer to draw the flavor out. If you have seen any of my other coffee reviews, this is the motion that I always do when I am describing the strong brew. Because I always want to assume that whoever you are watching this, this is the first one that you have seen. Strong brew, draw the coffee out. Takes longer to extract all of the flavor particles. So, now, I'm going to step outside and I'm going to take my time having myself a carcinogenic treat. If you aren't a smoker, don't start. If you are under the age, don't start. Just don't to begin with. I'm a smoker. I don't really like it. So don't start if you haven't. Beside the point, this way I have enough time, a timer of tube and tobacco, to let me know that it might be time to come in and check it. And once I walk in through that door, the coffee will be right here, and hopefully I'll be able to come in from the outside with a fresh, cleansed palate. So that way, whatever the coffee smells like, it will be simulating the sensation of smelling it for the first time in the morning, waking up. Fresh palate, empty sinuses, cigarette, door, coffee. Let's do the thing.
One minute, 37 seconds later.
Oh my goodness. It smells better brewed than it did in the bag, which honestly that winds up being the case most times. The way that it smells freshly brewed, demonstrably, almost every time I do one of these, is better than just muff diving the bag. I just said muff diving the bag. I'm leaving it in though. I figured that it would only be fitting that when trying Devil Mountain Coffee, that I would get my mug that says, "Black like my soul." On brand, is it not? Now, I'm going to test this in 2 different ways. First, I'm just going to give it a sip, or a couple, with some half and half. Just regular run-of-the-mill half and half. I know some people like to just like milk and sugar, maybe just some cream, half and half. Seems like a good middle ground for those things. And then, after I have formed an opinion, I'm going to enjoy it the way that I like to typically. with some International Delight, sweet and creamy. I guess they no longer have the brand deal to maintain the Cold Stone Creamery sweet cream. That's what I got, because it was a little bit cheaper than the other type of sweet cream. Beside the point, this is usually what I get. That's usually what I got when I have my own personal coffee in the morning. I just want to use this to get more of its own flavor without so much interruption. And call me a bitch if you want. Actually, don't. I'd prefer if you didn't. But I just can't do straight black coffee. So this is how we're doing it. And break. Oh, it looks so pretty. Where are my manners? I forgot to award the point. The sniff test brood won the point. So far, we've got a 3 out of a possible 3 that it could get. Now here is the real test. Why did I shake it? Did I need to shake it? Maybe. Maybe not. Whatever. If I have learned anything in the past, it means I should wait. Otherwise, I'm going to hurt myself. But maybe, just maybe, the coldness of the half and half has cooled it off just enough. Oh shit, that actually worked. I was prepared to just go, ow, incorrect, but no. Ooh. That's actually really good. That's surprisingly good. I mean, it's not got a whole lot of flavor. Really, honestly, I'm picking up not a whole variety of different notes. So I'm going to give it another sip and try to be more discerning. Honestly, it just tastes like really thick, dark black coffee. And if I were to compare it to the Death Wish coffee, doesn't have a whole lot more flavor variety than that stuff did. So as far as flavor goes, I might have to give it to Death Wish, but we're not comparing here. I just want to... the comments on the back. Beside the point, it's still good. It's still good. Honestly, with that being said, I can genuinely really appreciate it because there's not a lot going on. It's got its own flavor. It's got something that does just taste like some good old-fashioned black coffee. That's what's really good about it. It's just good black coffee. Baseline, there's nothing too fancy going on. There's nothing really hidden. I don't have to look and scrounge for different flavors. Because with other different coffee blends, there winds up being a whole bunch of different stuff that goes into it. Like, you got dark chocolate and cherry notes. Yes, that was a callback to Death Wish again. But even with others like, okay, let me think of another example of something that I've tried. The Jack Daniel's coffee. It didn't actually have Jack Daniels in it. It was just trying to be coffee that tasted like the flavor of Jack Daniels. And there was a lot of extra like caramel flavors in there. They were trying really hard to go with that molasses type of taste. And it didn't translate super well. There's not a whole bunch of extra going on. It's just a good baseline flavor that's not trying too hard. So with that, yeah, no, it's pretty fucking good. Yeah. Now I'm going to try it with the sweetened so I can get a little bit of the sugary. Did I just spit on myself? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have it the way that I like it. The joke is, it's supposed to be black like my soul, but it only tastes black when you're drinking this. It's not black. That's the joke. I don't have black coffee. Honestly, really all that did was make it sweeter. That's really all it did. Like, the flavor is so potent and overwhelmingly thick, dark, black coffee that all it did was just add some sugar on it. But the flavor is still so overwhelming and profound that it didn't do anything to take away from the flavor, that it's just sweeter now. That's all it really did. God, that's fucking good. Oh my god, I'm surprised. Wow. I don't know why I set the bar so low, but I'm impressed. The flavor's actually really fucking good. That is, if you are somebody that likes really good, thick, dark black coffee. I do. I enjoy it. I have grown very accustomed to Diner Swill, which is like just the basic black coffee, you know. This is better than Swill. It's got more chunk. I don't know if chunk is the word I'm looking for. Point is, it's better than Diner Swill, but it's just black coffee. That's what it tastes like. But it's good at it. Flavor points have been awarded. Taste test. It's won the point. Let's move on. Now we have come to the point of the criterias 5 and 6. This thumb and this thumb. Am I going to give one? Am I going to give both? Am I going to give none? First and foremost, I'm definitely going to give it in the very least one. Because as somebody that loves like the gimmick and the shtick of the devil and sin being fun and living deliciously, it's got the whole, it doesn't go above and beyond, it doesn't really cater to a pretentious audience, but it still does a job of letting you know, like, yeah, we're playing the devil gimmick. So powerful it's a sin. Devil Mountain Coffee, the only thing is, I might make this red, or like this is white but the face is red, and I think actually I was on the site earlier and I think there actually are logos where the face is red, and I like that a lot better personally, because I feel like if this is all black and white and the only thing on there is the face of the devil and it's red, it would stand out a lot more. If that's on shelves, it would be a lot more eye-catching, in my opinion, but it's still not lacking. Just something that would make it, in my opinion, just a little bit better. Overall, I fucking love it. You've got the pitchforks all over the place. It's mwah. It's adorable. I love it. It's fantastic. So that goes for the packaging, the marketing, the shtick, the gimmick. And then just, I'm going to give it both thumbs. Honestly, I'm going to give it both thumbs because the flavor is good. I am surprised at how, for some reason, I set the bar as low as possible. That way I have no expectations. That way I'm coming into it as blind as possible. I did make that couple of remarks about Death Wish, but honestly, I wouldn't compare this to Death Wish other than being another high-powered coffee because it tastes nothing like it. It's its own thing. It is just another thing, another option that isn't really comparable because it's a totally different experience. It's a totally different flavor, and with that comes a different experience, and the caffeine is kicking in. Holy crap. I haven't even had a half a cup of this big-ass, granted this is a big-ass mug. I don't even remember how much, wow, the caffeine is kicking in. Holy shit. Woo! What was I saying? Oh, that's right. Both thumbs, because one goes for points for just the fun of the experience. And then the second thumb, because I enjoyed the experience, both the product and the packaging. It's so good, it's so cool, I love it. Now the real question is, would I spend $20 on this again? And the answer is yes. Granted, I am a relatively broke person, but when I have another $20 to just throw and I want to spend it on coffee, yeah, no, I'll probably go with this. This shit's good. I like it. Question is, should you spend the $20? That's up to you, completely and totally. But I'm probably going to buy this again at some point, since it is on Walmart shelves, at least near me. I think it's worth the $20. I wouldn't charge more for it, but I do believe it's worth the $20. It's good. Oh, wow, the caffeine! It's got me by the marble sack and by the heartbeat. Excuse me. I'm going to give it a minute. And I'm going to let this experience and the caffeine kick in, and I'll get back to you with whether or not I think it is absolutely worth the 7th point for the is it as strong as it says it is. And break.
2 hours later.
I forgot that I had to finish the video. So let me explain my last couple hours. So there I was. I finished the rest of the coffee, and almost promptly I forgot everything else that I was doing. I was prepared to have a hyperactive romp and make some goofy little cutaway scenes here and there, like I kind of did with the Death Wish video. That's not what happened. What did happen was I started cleaning. I put the coffee pot away. I set up my laptop and moved the files from my phone camera over to the laptop. And then I made dinner. I've had so many tacos that I'm embarrassed that I had so many tacos. And then my tummy really started to hurt. My tummy hurt a lot for a while there. Somewhere between cleaning and tacos, I thought that my eyes were going to bulge out of my head. Like, there was a brief moment of feeling that, like, racing type of caffeine high was going to happen. And then I realized what they mean by red eye. And then instead of going into this outburst of energy, I became calm. Then the tummy hurting subsided, and I listened to my podcast. Well, not my podcast, literally. My favorite podcast, Last Podcast on the Left. And then I just started going about my evening, and that's when I realized this shit is literally drugs. The caffeine content is probably closer to a controlled substance than it actually is coffee. Or I might be biased because I have mentioned that I'm on the spectrum, but I failed to really mention that I also am comorbid with ADHD. Whatever the case may be, this counts as living deliciously, and I might use this more often to help me focus, because I have been so hyper-fixated on just existing and living in the moment and just taking things one thing at a time. Yeah, so we gave it the first thumb up. Second thumb up. Is it strong enough? It absolutely is. It is strong enough. It's so strong that I had the opposite reaction. And I feel fantastic. This coffee is literally drugs. And with that, we come to a full, rounded out 7 out of 7. And I think that's exactly how I would like to have it. That's a hill that I'm going to die on. This is a perfect 7 out of 7 coffee. So, if you like the shtick and the gimmick of the devil and the devil's things, like rock and roll and magic and witchcraft, the devil also inspires really cool coffee. Seven out of 7, absolutely. So on that note, 7 out of 7. What to expect next? Well, thanks to a wonderful watcher of my content, I was able to already purchase the next coffee for the next review, which is going to be the... What the hell was it called? The Mothman's Red Eye Blend by Spring-Heeled Jack, brought to us by Last Podcast on the Left. Because 1, Last Podcast on the Left is my favorite podcast, and 2, the Mothman is my favorite cryptid. So of course I had to get my hands on it, and maybe if I do a good enough review of it, senpais will notice me. I always hope to get noticed with these. Hasn't happened yet, but maybe someday in the future. But on that note, I'm going to wrap this up here. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, and you want to see more coffee reviews, drop some coffee suggestions in the comments. That way I might have some ideas to pull from. And if you are willing and able, please consider supporting the channel so I can get my hands on some more bags of beans to try. And yeah, no, this was fun, and I am still incredibly surprised and impressed. Devil Mountain Coffee Company, the basic black label roast, 7 out of 7. And until next time, which outro am I doing now? Alright, as always, take care and much love.
Meanwhile...
Devil Mountain Coffee! Devil Mountain Coffee! Because sometimes prescription ADHD medication just isn't enough. Nor is it easy to come by on the fly. So in those moments, Devil Mountain Coffee. Because it's better than drugs. Devil Mountain Coffee. So strong even the devil might be surprised. Have you ever been up late at night and wondering to yourself, what the hell is this oracle reading supposed to mean? Well, if you had partaken in Devil Mountain Coffee Company's coffee, not only would you still be awake late at night, you would understand the reading. And hey, not only is it incredibly strong, it is tasty. Devil Mountain Coffee. Live deliciously. Don't have enough energy to perform that satanic ritual? Have you been too burnt out to dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Try Devil Mountain Coffee. So powerful, it's a sin. Now being sold at select retailers. Disclaimer, this is not a paid advertisement. Things said within this video are not representative of Devil Mountain Coffee Company or their affiliates. Devil Mountain Coffee. Live deliciously. Devil Mountain Coffee. In the off chance that hell should freeze over, it's still just as good even if it's iced. Are you a witch or a pagan and you want to think of a gourmet coffee to offer to your deities? Try Devil Mountain Coffee. You're more of a demonolator or a devil worshipper than a pagan? You're in luck. Courtesy of my own unverified personal gnosis, even King Belial enjoys Devil Mountain Coffee. What am I doing, do you ask, King Belial? I'm pitching myself as a candidate to be an influencer for Devil Mountain Coffee. Okay, can you humor me for 2 minutes? Thank you. Devil Mountain Coffee. It's good enough for the gods. Yes, King Belial, I know I owe you. Thank you. Are you a witch or a pagan that's been experiencing silence from the deities that you work with and worship? Try some Devil Mountain Coffee. This high-powered gourmet coffee has so much caffeine in it that it's actually a genuine surprise that the crash isn't as devastating as falling from grace. With the high-octane levels of energy that Devil Mountain Coffee provides, there is a slim but possible chance that you might remember that there is more to being a witch or practitioner than being in constant contact with divine beings. I personally used to struggle with this problem as well until I tried Devil Mountain Coffee. Devil Mountain Coffee. So powerful it could wake your ancestors from the dead. I'm not going to lie, this is very much the case. But since I am not yet sponsored by Devil Mountain Coffee Company, I'm going to ask everybody to please consider the thingy. That way I can hop on over to DevilMountainCoffee.com. I'm almost out of my store-bought Devil Mountain Coffee, but over here they have things that you're not going to find in stores, such as Peppermint Pete, Pumpkin Spice, Blueberry Betty, and Gingerbread Joe. And if you have a Keurig, fret not. They also offer K-Cups. Are you interested in rocking some devilish merch letting everybody know that you live deliciously? They also offer apparel. I've got my eye on this ladies' racer tee. They also offer some pretty cool branded drinkware. Scrolling through the listings, this one caught my attention, and I couldn't help but think to myself, that mug would look really good next to my mug. So if any of these things interest you, go check out DevilMountainCoffee.com. If you're a little bit uncertain, give me money, and I'll buy it, and I'll give you my opinion. I'm not sure about you, but I think I'd make an excellent influencer for Devil Mountain Coffee.